The rise of RAAM didn't come without dethroning his predecessor, who was known as Uzil Sraak, a monstrous and menacing figure that was more brawn than brains, and was part of the first ever generation of Locust drones. As always, I'm your host Abz, and here is the fall of Locust General Sraak. Sraak was one of the first ever Locust, and he, just like his brothers, were cared for by Myrrah in the Mount Kadar laboratory. Sraak and the others were receptive to Myrrah's commands through the hive mind, and she ordered them to slaughter the scientists in the facility, and the drones were later led into the hollow by their new queen. Sraak eventually became a devoted follower and protector of Myrrah and their people, probably due to his sheer size and strength, as he was a mighty 12 feet tall, so unlike your standard drone, and eventually he was promoted to Uzil, also known as High General of the Locust Army. But many years later, 17 years before Emergence Day, in the Hollow, many Locust drones and Hollow creatures were overexposed to emulsion vapors, and therefore began to turn lambent, mutating into monstrous, hostile creatures, aiming to kill and infect any other unaffected life forms. This epidemic in the Hollow became worse and worse, and this led to the Lambent War beginning 7 years before Emergence Day, with the Locust protecting their homes and capital city against the formidable Lambent force. During this war there were two visionaries of the Horde, Scourge and Vold Ram, who was the lieutenant of his own blight of Locust, named the Bloodied Vanguard. After the Bloodied Vanguard defeated the Horde of Lambent in the Outer Hollow, Ram showed Scourge his vision. Ram told Verl Jamad to assess the strength of the blight, stating that they will march for the Inner Hollow on his return. Ram showed Scourge his plans to invade the surface, stating that the Lambent War is an endless war of attrition and lost ground. On the surface, the humans' focus was on their enemy ahead, as the coalition of ordered governments battled the Union of Independent Republics in the Pendulum Wars. Ram said the humans have no imagination for the enemy that marches below, and the mindless Lambent abominations can have the Hollow, while the Horde can conquer the surface. Ram and Scourge abandoned the Outer Hollow and marched their blight to the doors of the Royal Palace to speak to Uzil Sraak. Ram said to Sraak that the war was lost, while Sraak stayed in the safety of the Inner Hollow, demanding that he will speak to Queen Myrrah to show the war is over, and that Sraak's utter incompetence will put an end to the Locust Horde. Sraak saw this as a coup and attacked Ram, blocking his punch, then headbutting Ram, slamming him onto a table and punching his face, ordering him to return back to the Gorgon front of the Hollow with the Bloodied Vanguard. Sraak spoke to Myrrah and reassured her that the Hollows were safe, but he warned Myrrah that Ram is warforged and his blight of loyal drones will follow him no matter what. Ram knew that the Queen would have overheard the conversation, and he had made an impression, one way or another. Myrrah knew that the Lambent had won the war for the Hollows, and Sraak was only telling her what she wanted to hear. Sraak then sent a Corpser to kill Ram and his Vanguard, but the Vanguard were able to defeat the Corpser. Scourge noted that Sraak is a living muscle, known for his strength, not his mind. Therefore the Corpser was sent by the help of Ukon, the Locust geneticist. Ram sent Scourge back to the Inner Hollow, to the temple, to convince Kitavrol that the Inner Hollow will fall, whilst Ram went to talk to another lieutenant in the expansion Hollow, Vold Khan. Back at the Locust Council, the members of the council went back and forth as Sraak threatened Ukon to leave matters of war to the true spawn of the Sires, further reiterating that he was one of the first Locust. Meanwhile, Myrrah reiterated that Ram is the most promising Vold in the army, and he has every opportunity to prove himself loyal. Ram convinced Khan of his vision to lose his war in the expansion Hollow so that the Lambent could reach the Temple of the Trinity in the Inner Hollow, as well as explaining his plans to claim Myrrah for Queen and Horde. Khan helped make this a reality, as the retreating Khan and his drones arrived at the temple, chased behind a horde of Lambent, as Ram and his blight cleaned up the mess directly in front of Kitavrol. Now Kitavrol was enraged, wondering why the supposed Master of War Sraak had not heeded the warning of the Lambent. Vrol urged Scourge and Ram to present the truth to Myrrah, stating that he will stand as their witness. As Ram approached the council chambers, Two Theron sentinels said to Raam that they heard what he did at the temple, that there were no longer any among the Theron that doubted him, and the Horde hungers for strong decisive leadership like him. They said when the time comes, do not forget your allies. Raam, alongside Scourge, reported to the Locust Council on the fall of the expansion Hollow, and the attack on the temple which the bloodied vanguard had driven off. Sraak was enraged, calling Raam's actions a staged coup, and that the Queen must not believe them. Myrrah was angered by his audacity and warned Sraak not to tell her what to think, or she'd feed him to the krill while he was still alive. Sraak apologised and tried to convince KingAbzYT that Raam was using the Trinity of Worms to manipulate him, leading to an angry outburst from KingAbzYT over everyone on the council, abandoning the old ways. Sraak began to assault Raam, stating that he had not delivered a report of a hopeless war, he refused to lie down and die. But this assault was interrupted by the arrival of Old Khan with information for the Queen. Myrrah silenced everyone to hear Khan's report, and he explained that Raam had been developing a plan far from the eyes of Sraak, and he agreed that the war was lost. Queen Myrrah demanded to know how the Lambent were able to reach the temple in the first place, and why she had 3 Volds reporting to her a situation that she was supposedly unaware of. Sraak admitted that he had no worthy response for that. When Raam began to speak of victory, Sraak angrily demanded that Raam bended craven knee to a threat, breaking down their defences, and spoke of victory. Raam suggested unleashing the Horde on the surface against the humans, and the council began to debate the matter as if Sraak wasn't there. Sraak demanded to know of his opinion on the matter, but Myrrah stated that it no longer mattered. She would now be advised by Uzil Raam. Myrrah stated that the Hollow was their home and they would never cede it to the Lambent. Therefore she intended to send her strongest warrior, Sraak, to the front line against the Lambent. Myrrah ordered Sraak to rally his blight and hold the line, while those with ambition secured their future on the surface. And then she dismissed everyone but Raam. In private discussion with Raam, Myrrah revealed that she knew of his plan and allowed it. Sraak's banishment to the front line was a formality. He was undone by his own failures, and Raam simply laid them bare for the council. On Emergence Day, as Raam led the Locust Horde to shred human flesh, Raam and Scourge were taking human lives, but suddenly, Sraak, enraged with the loss of his position, ambushed Raam and Scourge. Sraak attacked Raam, but when Scourge berated Sraak, who was now a Vold for his actions, Sraak attacked Scourge and stated that a title was not earned, but taken. Sraak challenged Raam to face him as a drone in a fight, but Raam said that he was a coward, hiding behind a metal fortress of mad technology with his armor. Strength was in the flesh. Sraak vowed to reclaim his rightful place, while Raam stated that he would claim Sraak's head as his victory prize. The two engaged in a duel that ended with Raam burying his blade in Sraak's shoulder, and Sraak grabbing Raam by the throat. Now remember the 2 Theron guards from before that had claimed to be on Raam's side? Well, as Sraak gloated about his victory, Raam kicked clear and signalled the 2 nearby Theron guards. The 2 Therons shot the former Uzil with their talk bows, destroying the chest piece of his formidable armour and seriously wounding Sraak. Raam had outsmarted Sraak again. He mocked Sraak's armour, and then he tore out his heart with his bare hands, killing him and putting an end to Sraak. In the words of Raam, a true warrior needs only his bare hands. Raam revealed to the Theron guards that he had anticipated Sraak's attack and set a trap for him, which Sraak had fallen into, right as Raam had predicted. Ultimately, Sraak was one of the first ever Locust and rose to power within the Horde, mainly due to his sheer size and strength. He was a formidable force, but he wasn't a master of war. He was the architect of his own demise, and got outsmarted by Raam. This story emphasized how much of a military genius and strategist Raam was. Raam was warforged, while Sraak was not. The story also shows that although a force of nature in his own right, Raam was very intelligent, and this was further illustrated in how he located and ambushed COG officers in the Locust War as well. This was the fall of Sraak and the rise of RAAM in Gears of War lore. Drop a like if you enjoyed this lore video, subscribe for more similar content like this, and I'll leave a link at the top right of the screen if you want to watch my other lore videos as well. I'm your host Abz, and as always, I will catch you guys next time.